Welcome back to Fair Points. Today we are going to discuss this awful plane crash in Washington, D.C., as 67 people have lost their lives in a collision between a plane and a helicopter. There are a lot of questions that are being asked right now. Why is it that these two aircrafts weren't communicating with one another? What was going on with air traffic controllers? And these are the right questions to ask. But we also need to take time away to showcase empathy, sympathy, and condolences to all of the lives affected by this. And I would look to a leader of a country, the country where this tragedy happened, to showcase that empathy, that sympathy. Let these grieving families know that you're on their side. But of course, that's not what Donald Trump does. No. Instead, he tweets this out. The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. You know what could have maybe helped prevent this? If you didn't fire 100 FAA employees. Yeah, the people that probably would have helped in a situation like this, that would have been good. But of course, that would mean Trump would have to take responsibility for something that he is extremely not willing to do. And of course, instead is extremely willing to point fingers at anybody and everybody, including Joe Biden and DEI. Yes, the boogeyman that the right has conjured up on their own. DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion was the reason why this happened. Of course it was. It wasn't because of this timeline that was properly outlined by T. Greg Doucette over on Blue Sky. January 20th, FAA director fired. January 21st, air traffic controller hiring frozen. January 22nd, Aviation Safety Advisory Committee disbanded. January 28th, buyout retirement demand sent to existing employees. January 29th, first American mid-air collision in 16 years. Make America great again. Regulations are written in blood. Remember, this is the same administration that wants to deregulate the TSA, wants to abandon it altogether. Seems like we could be experiencing more and more of these in the future. I want to explore this Blue Sky post from God. Donald is blaming a plane crash that killed 67 people on DEI with zero evidence. Remember, there's no evidence. He is attempting to use racism to deflect from the fact that it is his fault. He had just removed 100 FAA senior officials. It's been 11 days and there are 67 bodies in the Potomac in Washington, D.C. because of him. That's right. 67 people are now dead because of him. That's the evidence that's in front of us. But of course, it's DEI. Of course, it's Joe Biden. Of course, it's the Democrats. They're always the ones to blame. They're always the problem. It's never themselves. And this is what happens when you let a bunch of Nepo babies run around and control your government. They're not looking out for you. Remember, this could easily be you. Notice how Trump did not care one iota about the people that died. He knows that this looks bad on him, and that's the only thing he cares about, is his own image. Couldn't care less that 67 people lost their lives. All he cares about is playing politics, but not politics that at all help American people out. Just politics that make him not look as bad as they should. And I hope that you understand that. I hope you remember that it's all about him and it's not about you. That's what this administration is all about. It's about control and power and controlling that narrative. Now, you could argue that the left is controlling the narrative to blame Donald Trump here. We don't know for sure that it was his fault. We don't know for sure that these firings caused this. And you're right. Correlation does not always equal causation. But what I can tell you is this. For 16 years prior to today, there were no crashes in midair. But 8 days after 100 FAA senior officials were fired, 67 bodies are now laying dead in the Potomac in Washington, D.C. But you're well within your rights to believe that there's no correlation to this causation. And that's fair. But I can also say that you're an absolute coward if you're deciding to use this opportunity to once again blame DEI and blame Joe Biden. A good leader would say, hey, we'll look into this. We promise to do better. That would be a good leader. A good leader would showcase an ounce of sympathy to those who were affected. But that's not what the US has right now. They don't have a good leader. We have a man who's a puppet for Russia. We have a man who has been bought by the billionaires of the United States. And we have a man who is a sexual assaulter. That is who the leader of the United States is. He's as weak as they come, and he's as timid as they come. He would never run into the fire as it blazes. He'd just stand there and say, oh no, the house burnt down. What a great piece of real estate now gone. Because he's a loser. And losers never take responsibility for their actions. And that's what we're seeing front and center today, as 67 people have lost their lives. 67 families have been torn apart because of bad politics and because of a bad leader. There's going to be more bloodshed. And I don't know what it's going to take for some people on the right to finally wake up and realize he doesn't lose an ounce of sleep over you if you're dead or alive. All he cares about is his precious power. So if that means a few more dead Americans, so be it. As long as he's powerful and he's rich. I hope that you understand that this is just the beginning. It's a dark day in the United States, and it'd be nice if there was a true leader to pull you through this darkness and show you some light. But unfortunately, there's just more darkness. Thank you, and goodbye.